Thanks
Thanks.
so much to everyone who's joining us today. We're really looking forward to talking with you a little bit more about our MS in Animals and Public Policy, or the MAPP program. And my name is Megan Mueller, and I'm an associate professor of human-animal interaction at the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine. And I am one of the faculty in the MAPP program, so looking forward to talking with you all a little bit more. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. So we are housed at the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine at Tufts University, which is in Grafton, Massachusetts, it's actually in my background. This is our campus. It's very beautiful. And we are the veterinary school that's associated with Tufts University, and we're, near, as I said, near Worcester. So today what we're going to talk about is what is the Center for Animals and Public Policy at the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine, talk to you a little bit about the MAPP program, and then I'll talk a little bit about some of my research on human-animal interaction. At each of these webinars, each of the faculty talk a little bit about the work that they do, just so that you can get a flavor for the types of things that we do in the program. And certainly if you're interested in any of the other faculty, they've also done webinars which are available on recording. So just to give you a flavor for what we do. So this is the Center for Animals and Public Policy. This is our building. My office is right there in the front on the second floor. And we are located at the Cummings School campus. So a really beautiful campus. We have 600 acres, working farm, and large animal hospital, small animal hospital. So really a vibrant place to be. And the Center for Animals and Public Policy, or as we fondly call it, CAP, the mission of CAP is to do work that's based on the principles that animal well-being matters, that animal and human well-being are linked, and we can enhance both through an improved understanding of human-animal relationships. So that's really what we aim to do in both the master's program as well as the rest of the work that we do in the center. So the role of CAP within the broader veterinary school. So our role is to help educate students about human-animal relationships, about public policy affecting animals, and the different ways that people value animals. So we try to really promote discussion around the meaning and applications of animal health and well-being with the DVM, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine program, as well as with our master's programs. And we also help support the school's community engagement efforts. A lot of the community-based programs at Cummings have a strong tie to the Center for Animals. So within CAP, we have 4 core areas of focus. So human-animal relationships, which is the area that I primarily focus on, covers human-animal interaction, animal-assisted interventions or animal-assisted services. So those are interventions involving therapy animals or other animals that are working in therapeutic capacities, the human-animal bond, and the psychology of living with pets, as well as the health effects of living with pets. Then we have companion animal welfare and behavior, which involves supporting pet welfare, animal shelter policy and practice. We have a really strong tradition at CAP of working in sheltering, the sheltering spaces, and applied animal behavior. And Shauna Dowling-Guyer is the faculty member who's the core lead in that area. And so if you're interested in that, her webinar is also available. Also human-wildlife interactions. Our director, Dr. Alan Ruppberg, works heavily in this area around human-wildlife conflict, urban wildlife, and the policy and ethics of managing wildlife. And then our 4th area of focus is in animal use and practice and policy. So lab and farm animal welfare, regulation of animals and animal welfare and research, and food animal policy. So those are our 4 areas of focus, and a lot of our programming within the master's program focuses on these 4 areas. So the goals of the MAPP program, we are rather uniquely an animal policy program. There are not a lot of master's programs out there that are focused on policy issues specific to animals, especially in those 4 domains. So we define policy as including all the ways that communities act collectively. So this can mean policy at lots of different levels, whether it's local policy that involves direct service or programs, all the way up through federal policy that impacts animals. So we prepare students to help solve the current challenges to the health and well-being of animals, people, and in the environment by really building strong analytical research and communication skills. So many of our graduates go on to work in careers related to research, but many of them do not. And we still think that it is really critical for our students to learn how to be critical consumers of research and to be able to translate research evidence into policy and practice. So that's something we focus on a lot in this program. We also really want to expose students to a wide range of animal issues. It's actually very common that someone will come into our program thinking that they want to focus on one thing, and then they learn about something else and they find that to be really interesting and switch gears. So we try to give you exposure to lots of different animal policy issues that might be interesting to you as a future career choice. We also encourage students to understand and fairly evaluate multiple viewpoints on a given issue. Most issues related to animals are not black and white. They're really in the gray area or in a liminal space. And we try to equip our students with the skills and the knowledge to manage these different viewpoints and the complexities that come with navigating animal policy issues. So the MAPP curriculum, we have a core curriculum, which I'll talk about in a moment, that everybody takes. And then we have 2 tracks to the program. So the default track is the applied track. So that's what most of our students do. The fall curriculum is similar for both tracks. And then you make a track choice at the end of the fall semester, or basically if you decide you want to do the research track, you apply to do the research track. So for the applied track, you will complete a summer externship, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. These externships often involve placements in nonprofits, NGOs, government organizations, research labs, the types of places that you might be employed after the program. And if you want to do the research track, that is a capstone project where you are essentially doing your own independent research project. And that typically stretches into the following fall semester. So for those on the applied track, you're finished at the end of the summer semester. So that's a 12-month program. For those who choose the research track, you'll extend to that following fall semester. So it's more like 15 months. The research track is often a great choice for students who think they might want to go on to a research career or go on to a PhD program. That can be a great option for them. And then there are some different electives that you can take based on your particular interests. For example, we have electives in animal behavior, wildlife in captivity, animal law, with lots of different options. So the core curriculum involves really our core course, which is Animals in Society. Animal Society 1 runs in the fall semester, and Animals in Society 2 runs in the spring semester. And this course covers an introduction to policy and animal issues. And so we have different modules within this course, starting with the policy module, followed by the companion animal module, and then we have lab animals, wildlife, and farm animals. So you have different modules in all of these different areas. Then another core course is Research Methods 1, which is taken in the fall semester, that covers both quantitative and qualitative research skills, and again, really builds that skill set in being able to understand, interpret, and apply research findings to whatever issues it is that you're passionate about. Statistics 1 is also a core course in the fall curriculum, again, sort of feeding into that goal of being able to be a good consumer of research evidence and to have a basic understanding of statistics. There's also a public policy analysis course, which is in the spring semester, that gives students these core skills in the policy analysis realm. And then there are a number of electives. So in the applied track, you take the core curriculum plus the communicating policy positions course in the spring semester, which is really around these communication skills and how you get your point across and communicate about the issues you're passionate about. And then the summer externship. And that gives you room for about 5 or more credits of electives. The research track has the core curriculum plus a second statistics and second research methods course in the spring semester. The research methods course primarily focuses on proposal development for your independent research project. And then your independent research, which takes place in summer and the following fall. So you get credit for that. And then you still have some time for electives. So these are some examples of electives. There are some that run every year and then some that vary year to year, but generally these are the ones we have: animal law, wildlife in captivity, animal welfare science, animal behavior. There's 2 of those, one each semester. And then we have animals and community and service electives, which are more applied electives. We have the Tufts Pause for People program, which I'll talk about again in a minute, which is our animal assisted intervention program, animal shelter visitation, community cat clinics. There's all kinds of different ways that you can get involved with the electives. So then in terms of externships, prospective students often ask, where do MAPP students go for externships? This is just a small sampling of some of the externships that our students have done in the past. So we often have students work at the MSPCA, working in advocacy, Animal Rescue League of Boston, then some a little further afield. We often have externs that work for the Animal Welfare Institute in Washington, D.C., if you're really interested in government work, and at more local spots related to specific rehabilitation, education, wildlife protection. So you can see there's a really wide range. We have a longer, more comprehensive list if anybody is interested. So some examples of research projects that students have undertaken as part of the research track. So as you can see, anything from attitudes towards seals to comparison of dairy cow welfare to feline dental practices. So we have lots of different topics, and what we try to do is help match you with a mentor that has expertise in the area you're looking to research so that they can help foster or help support you in that research project. Okay. So where do MAPP graduates go next? So we often have graduates. One of the interesting things about this program is there's not just one track. It's not like going to veterinary school and you become a veterinarian. Right? So there's lots of different things that our MAPP graduates do. Often they work in animal protection or conservation nonprofits. We have a lot of alums that work in the nonprofit sector, regional or even national humane societies, veterinary law, and graduate school. So some of our students will go on to other graduate training, government service, working in research compliance, such as working for IACUC. So we have a really extensive network of alumni, and what's great about that is that often our alumni hire our new alumni. So we have many organizations where we have multiple MAPP graduates working there because those folks on this degree prepares you really well for those positions. So here's some examples of some MAPP alumni who work in various organizations, just to give you a little bit of a flavor. We have lots of superstar alumni. So in terms of application to the master's program, we have 2 deadlines, February 3rd and April 1st. So those are your opportunities to submit an application. And certainly if you have any questions about the application process or the program, I'd be happy to answer those now. Does anyone have any questions? A minute here. Oh, Hannah, do you have a question? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. Hi. Yes, I have a question. I know some graduate programs require that either the faculty advisor um, pays the tuition of the student or that the student gets an assistantship. Is that the case for your program?
No, that's a good question. So no, we do not have that structure for the master's program. We have a similar structure to that for our PhD program, but this is more of a traditional tuition paying master's program. Yeah.
Okay. Are there assistantships available for master's students, or are those mostly reserved for PhD students?
We actually don't have a lot of assistantships because we don't have undergraduates on our campus. So the undergraduates are on a separate campus. Sometimes, or I will say more often for research track students, we often have one teaching assistantship available for that fall semester, that extra fall semester that they're staying to do their research track program. We often have a teaching assistant that helps with the statistics one course that the incoming students are taking. So sometimes that is available depending on our what's going on at any given year. But that we're just limited in our teaching assistantships because of we don't have undergraduate students.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. I do have more questions, but I'll let someone else have a turn since I've already asked two.
Oh, that's okay. Let's see. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Hi. Ooh.
Hi, go
Hi.
ahead.
I
Yep.
just have a quick question. So do you think candidates that are interested in like animal production settings, like such as like animal welfare, like uh product for animals and like production, like do you think this would be a beneficial program for someone going into that like realm of animal science?
Yes, we have a farm animal module and we have a faculty member who works, she's a veterinarian who works in production medicine. So yes, we certainly do have students that are interested in that area.
Okay, thank you
I
so
would
much.
say we do more on, the
Companion.
policy and welfare side of that versus
Okay.
the actual running of a production enterprise. But if you're interested in the welfare and policy aspects, yes, we definitely have that content.
Along with like the animal behavior side of it would also apply.
Right, right.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, it's great. I see you have a question in the chat about, does anyone enter the program with a plan for the capstone or externship in place? For example, already working for a nonprofit. Um, that is, yes, you can certainly have a plan for your capstone or externship. That's great. If you already have a vision of what you want to do, as long as it fits within the requirements, which it sounds like it probably does, we we certainly welcome that. It's very flexible with regard to the externship and the research track. We really try to have you make it an experience that is useful for you after the program. And the benefit of having a relatively small program is that we can do that. We're not just a big program that's slotting people into existing placements. We really try to have it individualized for you. So if you're coming in with an idea of what you'd like to do, that can work really well. Any other questions? Hannah, if you had others, you're welcome to ask. They're usually useful for everybody too. So.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm interested in like exploring community cat management through an interdisciplinary ecology lens.
Mhm.
So when I looked at the conservation medicine program and the animals and public policy program, I I would really like to do either both of them, or if there's a possibility of doing like a combination, like an interdisciplinary ecology degree, that would be what I would be looking for. Or like, is that something that is possible in your program?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We do have students ask that. You it's not logistically possible to take both programs concurrently because they're both essentially full-time. But what you can do is take one program and take electives from another program. So the electives are cross-registerable. So the ones that where the schedule aligns. But we have and if you're interested in particular electives, we can certainly, Ginny can facilitate that conversation with the folks from the MCM program, but it's often possible for MAPP students to take MCM electives and for MCM students to take MAPP electives. So that's sort of I mean, you could certainly take them consecutively, but that would require doing two master's programs. But maybe you could craft what you wanted to craft based on putting together the electives that appeal to you. So it might just sort of depend for you which piece you want to put in the forefront. So the MAPP program is going to be more around the policy aspect of things, and we do touch on community cats somewhat in our companion animal module. And then the MCM program is going to be more around the ecology conservation piece of it.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking also it depends, if you wanted to do research or the applied track, but we have like Emily McCobb is still part of, a connection. And maybe
Yeah, she does a lot of
that could
community
be,
cat work.
yeah, so that could be like an externship or research project with her. Another thought I'm having is you could look at all the classes that MCM has and all that MAPP has, and then all the electives that are available and see which classes, which has more classes that you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only thing that wouldn't be listed is we have an independent research independent research elective that some students do, and that's with your mentor and usually pretty creative.
Right. So if
And
you're in the research track, you could really design something around community cats if you wanted to.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. I saw another question in the chat about students on campus versus participating remotely. So this is an entirely in-person program. So all the classes are in person with the exception of sometimes we have some guest speakers that are not local. So we will have the one-off classes that might be on Zoom, but the program is on campus. Yeah, that's a good question. Any other questions? These are all good. Okay.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
have another
Go
posted.
right ahead. Of course, that's what we're here for.
About how long does it normally take students? I mean, I would assume it's about 2 years, but is there much variance from that?
It's actually one calendar year.
Oh, okay.
And so there really isn't a lot of variance from that. It's structured in a way that you will be completed in 1 year if you're on the applied track. So you take classes in the fall semester and then the spring semester, and then you do your externship over the summer, and then you're completed. So that's why it really is it truly is a full-time program because we not cram in, but we fit in a lot in 1 year because we realize that gets you out and onto the job market faster. If you're doing the research track, again, it will extend to that following fall semester, so it will be more like 15 months.
no
And that
extra,
timeline.
yeah,
What's
no
that?
extra tuition. I was going to say no extra tuition
Right.
for that.
No extra tuition for the extra semester there. Sometimes students will have to extend for various reasons beyond that. So there is, I think, a small extension fee but we try to get students done if they want to get done in that fall semester. We really try to help you plan a research project that's feasible to complete. You basically plan it in the spring and then you execute it and write it up in the summer and fall.
Okay. And for the conservation science, is it the same
It's not 2 years, so it is the same 1 year calendar, but their structure is slightly different because they have a capstone as well. That's more of a case study that I don't know all of the details about, but it's essentially the same amount of time, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, thank
We
you.
have a new cohort of students come in annually for both of those programs.
I have a question about it being a full-time program. Is it
Yes.
possible or feasible for somebody to also be employed and do this program, or is it really so intense that you would need to dedicate all of your time?
We do have students that work part-time. It's not feasible, I don't think, to have a full-time job and to do it because the classes are, mostly during the day. So we have classes from typically from 9 to 3, at least 4 days a week. Sorry, 10 to 3, at least 4 days a week. If you're taking an elective, it might run till 5 o'clock. And then we typically have one day where you don't have classes. I mean, there's obviously work outside. There's work you have to do outside of class time for the assignments. So you're not booked in class from 9 to 5 every day. But it's that 10 to 3 pretty much every day. So yes, a lot of our students do work part-time. And the degree to which you would want to work might be individual to what you're doing. And I think having a full-time job would probably not be feasible given the workload. Does that
Thank you.
help?
Yes, I guess.
It's a very common question, and we do have students that work part-time. Some of them even will work as vet techs in our hospital, and so there's related things people are doing. Yeah. Any other questions?
Depending on either the February deadline or the April, when would you be notified of your acceptance? Like, how long does that usually take?
It's usually, I would say, Jenny can correct me if I'm wrong, I would say within a month to 6 weeks, I would say.
Okay.
It
Thank you.
It kind of
actually
depends
has,
on when the committee reviews it and when they end up meeting. So there's a little bit of variability there.
Right.
it
Okay.
actually, yeah, we have deadlines on the website already. I don't know if it's in your PowerPoint or not, but
Oh, for when they get returned back? No, I don't. Sorry, I didn't have that.
um,
Yeah, I think it's around that, like a month to 6 weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions?
What are the hours for like the externships?
So it's a total of, I believe, 240 hours over the summer. So it essentially comes out to 20 hours a week for 12 weeks, I believe, something around that. It's essentially half time for the majority of the summer. A lot of students will choose to do more, or maybe you're distributing it a little bit differently, but that's the sort of requirement to meet the credit guidelines. Sometimes students will, and they can be paid externships if you can find one. Sometimes students will go into more formal externship programs that organizations have, and sometimes there's a stipend with that. Sometimes they're unpaid. Sometimes, they turn into jobs afterwards. So there's different ways it can work. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, well, I'll have some time again at the end. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about some of the work I do, just because, again, we like to give you a flavor for the type of work that the faculty at the center are doing. But I will go through a little bit of what my lab's work is, and then I'll have some time at the end again for questions. So if you think of any other questions about the program or otherwise, feel free to ask them then. So just as a little bit of background, for me, what I find really interesting about working at a veterinary school and our program in particular is that we have lots of people who have lots of different backgrounds that work in the program. And I think it shows how career trajectories are not linear. And I enjoy working with colleagues that have different backgrounds. So my background is I was always a animal crazy kid. This is me with my cat Cleo during the 101 Dalmatians phase. I grew up during that era, so hence my outfit. And I have been at Tufts actually my entire career, which I always tell my students I don't necessarily recommend, but I have really enjoyed being at Tufts. So my background is in psychology. So my undergraduate degree is in psychology. And I have a master's degree and a PhD in child study and human development. So I've always been really interested in the relationships between children and their animals. And I conducted my doctoral research at the Institute for Applied Research in Youth Development, where we focused on teenagers and their families and how we help teenagers thrive. And so a lot of my focus has been on how we can understand youth relationships with their animals. So then I joined the faculty at the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine 11 years ago, and I'm in the Center for Animals and Public Policy. And I also direct the Tufts Pets and Wellbeing Lab. So that's my research group's lab that focuses on understanding the psychology of human-animal relationships. So that's what my research primarily focuses on. So I teach the companion animal module for the Animals in Society 1 course. I also teach a little bit in the DVM program, and I have currently 2 PhD students who work in my lab. So I have other students as well. I also teach an undergraduate course on human-animal relationships. And so my research lab, the Pets and Wellbeing Lab, focuses on human-animal interaction and adolescent development. And I'll be talking a little bit about one of the projects that our lab is working on right now. We also do some research on animal-assisted interventions for youth with social anxiety in particular, and human-animal interaction and positive youth development. So understanding how these relationships with animals can contribute to youth well-being. And then as part of our broader work at the center, we also do some research on equity and access to veterinary care and how different health inequities overlap. I also help to run the Tufts Initiative for Human-Animal Interaction, which is our cross-university initiative that houses all of the programs that are related to human-animal relationships. And I also am one of the faculty advisors for Tufts Paws for People, which is our therapy animal group here on campus. If there's anybody who's familiar with animal-assisted interventions, we are a community partner of Pet Partners, which is the largest therapy animal organization nationally. So we have close to 100 animal handler teams, and we do the evaluations here on campus. And we have an elective option for MAPP students who are interested in working with the therapy animal program. I also mentor MAPP student research projects. So I've had several research track students. This past year, I had 2 students. So often can help mentor students. I have a couple of MAPP students that work as research assistants in my lab. So if you're interested in the psychology of human-animal relationships and research in that area, that's sort of my area. So what is human-animal interaction? So when we are talking about this term, it's often called HAI. One definition that I really like is from the AVMA, which defines the human-animal bond as a mutually beneficial and dynamic relationship between people and animals that's influenced by behaviors that are essential to the health and well-being of both. And I like this definition. My only change to it, I would say it's mutually influential. We really hope it's mutually beneficial, but we realize it's not always mutually beneficial. And a lot of the research in this area has historically focused on the human impacts of these relationships. And in recent years, there's been more attention being paid to how the relationship is mutually influential, and we need to understand the animal side as well. So under this umbrella, there are lots of different things that would come under this definition, from human-wildlife interactions to companion animals, to behavior, to lab animals, zoonotic disease transmission. I mean, really, all of this is kind of broadly human-animal interaction. And most of this that's under this umbrella, even the et cetera, is what we cover in the MAPP program. But what I am going to talk about today is the research that my lab does, which is related to these two areas. And in fact, today, primarily talking about companion animals or pets. So animals that live in and around our homes. And the research on human-animal interaction has increased exponentially over the last several decades. We're really seeing it emerge as its own standalone field of science. And so that's something really exciting. It's a great time to be getting into this field. And there's lots of different research areas that intersect with human-animal relationships. So here are just a few that we've worked on at CAP over the last decade or so. So animal-assisted interventions in healthcare and educational settings, mental and physical health effects of living with pets, service and assistance animals for individuals with disabilities, the psychology of human-wildlife conflict. We had a couple of students do some studies on caregiver burden and grief from pet loss and pet owners. That was really interesting. And we have actually a veterinary social worker at our hospital that does a lot of great programmatic work in that area. And the pet loss helpline is another way MAPP students can get involved in that. We have a hotline that people can call into if they're experiencing grief from the loss of a pet. Human and animal behavior. Certainly Shauna, who's another faculty member in this program, does a lot with animal behavior. We actually just had a paper published today on measuring stress in therapy dogs. So that's something that we're interested in. And certainly cross-cultural differences in human-animal relationships. A lot of the work that's been done in this area is focused on the US or Europe. And so how are there differences in cross-cultural experiences living with animals? So a lot of the work that my lab does really tries to take this systems approach, where we're not just looking at the person and the animal, but we're also looking at all the different layers of the systems that people live in. So because I study teenagers, friends or peers are a really important component of that system. Also family, what's going on in the family dynamics as it relates to pets, what's going on in the community or the environment. I mean, you think about even the impact that COVID had on our relationships with our pets, something like that can really be impactful, and how all that changes over time. So what we try to do in our research is to get at different parts of these systems. And so that brings us to some of our framing questions for the work that my lab does, which is really trying to understand for whom, under what circumstances, human-animal interaction can be beneficial for diverse families. So we know that, for example, a lot of our work focuses on pets, and we know that just having a pet is not a very good predictor of anything. It really depends on what's going on in that relationship. What might be some barriers? What are some ways in which these relationships can be facilitated? And what are the underlying processes driving these relationships? How do we optimize them in real world settings? So we want to be doing science that is not just knowledge for the sake of knowledge, but how can we use our understanding of these relationships to help optimize these relationships for real people and real animals? So what I'm going to briefly talk about today is the large research study that my lab's working on currently, which is called the Teen and Dog Study, or it's more affectionately known, the Longitudinal Assessment of Specificity in Adolescent Dog Relationships and Adaptive Coping for Youth with Social Anxiety. That's its long grant name. But essentially, we're looking at the role of dog relationships in supporting adolescents with social anxiety and trying to understand the mechanisms that might be underlying some of the benefits that we could see from living with pets. And this study is funded by the National Institutes of Health, and a part of it is funded by Wellcome Science Institute. So why am I studying social anxiety in adolescence? Well, adolescence, really interesting to me as a developmental psychologist, is a period where you're really developing your autonomy or your sense of self. And it's a time where parental relationships have decreased importance in terms of social connections, and there's an increased importance of peer relationships. So this balance shifts a little bit as teenagers start to develop who they are as a person independent from their family. There's a lot of transitions in peer groups, and that can potentially be stressful. And having social connections is a really important piece of adapting to this period. We also know that there's an adolescent mental health crisis in the United States. The Surgeon General put out a statement about this several years ago, especially in the post-COVID era. And social anxiety in particular is highly prevalent, but really underdiagnosed. A lot of people view it as just being a part of being a teenager, the social anxiety. And so there's a lack of methods to help support teenagers adaptively cope with some of these social stressors that can happen during adolescence. So why are we looking at dog relationships in this context? As I mentioned before, we know that having a pet by itself is not a robust predictor of mental health. And we really have a lack of longitudinal research that happens over time that really understands how dogs could help support teenagers navigate social challenges. We know that some of the known outcomes of youth-dog interaction, like emotional comfort and social support, social facilitation of relationships between people, supporting routines and physical activity, and reducing physiological arousal, or what our body's response to anxiety. We know that these are things that happen when teenagers interact with dogs, and that these are linked to what we know already that helps us adaptively cope with anxiety. So it's not that we're removing anxiety altogether, because that's difficult to do, but we want to cope with it in better ways, cope with it in positive ways, like physical activity and regulating our emotions versus spiraling and ruminating about something. So what we need to understand is how dogs might help teenagers with these adaptive coping strategies, and what's going on in that family system around the dog. What's the role of the parents and the teenagers in that dog relationship? So overall, what we're doing to address this question is we are collecting longitudinal survey data from teenagers and their parents over a 4-year time period, so yearly, to try to get some insight into what's going on in these relationships and how they're doing with coping with anxiety. We're also conducting in-depth interviews with both the parents and the teenagers about that dog relationship to understand what's exactly going on with them. And then we're also collecting what's called ecological momentary assessment data, which is just a big way of saying that we are collecting data on what's going on with them kind of in the moment. So they have an app on their phone that they get questions on, and we get to see how are they feeling right now in this moment, and is their dog with them? And we're collecting physiology data as a part of the study, where they wear a wristband very similar to an Apple Watch that collects some parameters of anxiety and well-being. So those are kind of the overall study methods. And because we're running short on time, I'm not going to go through a lot of this in a lot of detail, but I'm happy to answer any questions about it. We have a cohort of 500 youth parent dyads that are participating in the survey, which will happen annually for 4 years. And we have a whole suite of measures on mental health, dog relationships, and other types of relationships. And then in the interviews, we have 40 parent youth dyads, and we really try to get into what's, again, going on in that family system. What are some barriers, challenges to that relationship? What are the ways that teenagers might seek out contact with their dogs to help facilitate adaptive coping? And then again, we have this ecological momentary assessment arm of the study, where they have an app on their phone that pings several times a day and asks questions about momentary anxiety, loneliness, whether they're interacting with their dog, positive and negative emotions. And then they're wearing this wristband that collects electrodermal activity. So we can see what's happening both before and after in terms of their anxiety levels, and whether, say, interacting with their dog helps to reduce some of their anxiety. So we hope that this is a study that we've just launched in the last year, and it'll be ongoing for the next 4 to 5 years. And what we hope is that the data from this study will help us to have recommendations for parents, educators, and mental health practitioners that will be useful for actually creating programs and policy change. And hopefully that means laying the groundwork for future design and evaluation of interventions that would help support families and their dogs. Where it's appropriate and desired by the community, to identify and reduce barriers to having a dog for any family that would like to have one. We don't anticipate ever recommending that everyone will have a dog, because it might not be the right choice for every family. But if there are barriers such as access to affordable housing or access to affordable veterinary care, are there ways that we can reduce those barriers? And then identify if there's a need for interventions to support the human-animal bond. For example, if you have a dog that might be very reactive towards other dogs when you're walking them on a leash, is that a barrier to a teenager walking their dog in their neighborhood? And could we provide some support in that area? So, I mean, ultimately, what we're trying to do with the research that's done at CAP more generally is trying to think about how we optimize the human-animal bond to create a more equitable world for both people, and animals, and to really try to create and use science to make policies that will make the world a better place for people and animals. So that's often what we're focused on here at CAP, is how do we translate the science that we're generating into policy and practice. So that's just a really short overview of a little bit of the research we have going on, again, just to give you a flavor for what it is that we do. My email address is here if you have any follow-up questions that you would like to ask about, but also happy to take any other questions here. If anybody wants to stay on and ask any more personalized questions, that's completely fine. Otherwise, I think Ginny will be in touch with the recording, and certainly if anyone has any questions about the application process or the research that anybody does here, or the student experience, feel free to reach out. So, thank you all for coming.
Thank you. I do have one quick question before you go.
Sure, absolutely.
I definitely think that some of your research is applicable to what the kind of research I'd like to do regarding community cat management. And like something that I'm interested in is doing more research into like the demographics of community cat caretakers and the effect that different kinds of management have on them. And I was wondering, like, I know that you mentioned Dr. McCobbs, but are there any other professors or researchers that you might recommend I reach out to regarding that?
Around community cats. We have a couple, we have a CAP fellow, Ginny, who works with community cat management. So that's certainly someone we could connect you with once you're here. We definitely have enough connections in the community cat space that.
Thinking alums too.
Yeah, we probably have some alums as well. So if you were interested in doing a research project in that area, I'm sure we could facilitate some connections with folks that work in that area, even though the core CAP faculty, we don't have any one of us that has that as our focal area. We can match you with somebody who would likely have, there's enough folks connected to CAP that work in that area that I feel pretty confident we could connect you with somebody.
And we do that a lot. It doesn't have to be a core faculty member.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I have a question. So I'm the one who asked the question about coming in with your own project already.
Yeah.
Very briefly, like I also come from a background of early childhood education,
Great.
and then went on to service dog work, and created education for them. And then when one of the programs we created was for substance use disorder, and so now I work for another nonprofit, and um, I'm in charge of this project called Dog Ownership Enhancing Recovery
Oh,
that
wow.
one of the doctors on our board thought of. And we've run 3 pilots, and essentially the results are very promising. I was brought on because, like you mentioned, dog ownership is beneficial, but only under certain circumstances, and there has to be a match between expectations and outcomes and all of that.
Hmm.
And so we're working with service dog organizations to like give people living in sober homes dog ownership experience. In any case, I just
That's
had to
great.
say that to kind of help you understand what I'm asking is I'm pretty confident that this is actually going to work. Our 3 pilots are really promising. Um, and I want to make sure that like I have enough. I'm mostly self-taught. I have undergraduate sociology degree and early childhood credentials through Montessori
Oh,
education.
great.
Um, but I just want to make sure that I'm able to like help make this project really work and have, all of the evidence we collect um, be valid. And because I do think that there's like a lot of potential for addiction recovery um, outcomes. And I'm not sure if this is the right program for me. It always seems like it is. And you speaking about your teen study, a lot of what you said kind of correlates to what we're trying to do. Um, but I'm also
Definitely.
trying to
I think
figure
this,
out if that is if does it sound like, what I'm talking about would
yes,
be good
absolutely.
for
I
your
think
program?
this program would do a great job of giving you the research skills to be able to conduct that evaluation work. So a lot of the specific methods we talk about in the research methods class would be related to the type of program evaluation you're talking about. Survey methods, interview methods, outcomes assessment, that you'll definitely get a strong uh, training in that. And then you could certainly do either a research focused externship or an independent research project that works with the program you're involved with to collect data. That seems really feasible. And we do have some other connections with the substance use angle. I'm on a governing committee for the Massachusetts Department of Public Health programs that are funded specifically around animal and nature-based interventions for substance use treatment. So we have some connections there too. So that's definitely a topic area that we have. We have some other faculty that work in substance use on campus. So that feels like a very good fit, and the type of research you're talking about doing is the type of thing that we do a lot of.
Okay. And what about like would like kind of my role is to make sure that they're mutually beneficial so that the
Right.
dogs and the residents and the service dog organization and the sober home managers, like basically it's a lot of moving parts to make sure that everyone's like be- benefiting mutually. So would that be more of research or would that be the applied?
That could be either. We could sort of
Okay.
discuss it as you get into that. But you can typically craft it as either. It just sort of depends on how you end up shaping it. But
Okay.
you could
Thank
really
you.
do it either way. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I think that would be a great project. Wonderful. Great questions. Anyone
Thank
else
you.
have any other questions? Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks everyone. I really appreciate everyone joining today. And again, feel free to follow up if you think of anything else.